Hello everyone, this is Kittens cycling in Ireland. For today's cycle, it will be around Cork and Cobh. I've been to these cities many times, but it's my first time visiting here on my bike. The campsite I've stayed in here is called Blarney Caravan and Camping, and since it was a weekday, there weren't that many people in the campsite. It was about 130 kilometers of cycling, and starting from Blarney, I'll first go down to the Cork city, and then take a little bit of detour to Carrigaline, then come up to the place called the Passage West, where you can take a ferry to Cobh. And then after visiting Cobh, I will return to this campsite. Cork is the second largest city in Ireland, and for me it always has been the place where I briefly pass by when I'm going down to West Cork, Beara Peninsula, or Kinsale. And I was really a bit surprised that the whole Cork town was far more hillier than I expected, especially the northern part when you're coming down from Blarney, and could be painful for not experienced cyclists. Just as Dublin has River Rifi flowing through the city center, Cork has the river here called River Lee, and the riverside is a little bit smaller than Dublin, but looks very much similar. After crossing the River Lee, I'm now heading to the Cork Marina. So far, the city center of Cork wasn't that cycling friendly, but from here to Marina, as you can see, there is a decent cycle road along the way. Personally, I'm not that big a fan of these city cycling roads because there are so many traffic, including people who even cycle in two lanes. Also, when you're on a fast road bikes, most of the times just using the car road is much safer and more convenient compared to cycle roads. Here now I've arrived at Cork Marina, and for a brief moment I will be cycling along the River Ree and then take the Cork Harbour Greenway to the south, crossing the bay. Personally, here alongside this beautiful coast, forests, trees, and ships, this was the most beautiful spot that I've experienced in Cork during today's cycling. However, getting into the Cork Harbour Greenway wasn't as easy as I expected. As you see here, many entry points to the Greenway were blocked due to the maintenance or construction. So I had to take many detours, more than twice, to find the right entry point to the Greenway. Finally, after going round and round, I found the Greenway entrance. I really had to get into this Greenway because the big car roads around Cork City are quite dangerous to cycle by. These circular roads that go around Cork are almost like a motorway, and cars drive really fast. If it's been a familiar road, I would even cycle on these semi-motorways like this. But since it's my first time visiting here, I don't want to take any risk. Anyways, by taking the Cork Harbour Greenway, you can go over the busy N40 road via overpass and as well as go over Loch Mahon via small bridge. I thought this is another very good place to buy a house if you are not living in Dublin. Obviously, if you need convenience, Dublin is your best option, but since Cork is the second largest city, it has a quite good social infrastructure too, compared to Dublin. After coming out from Cork, I arrived at the town called Carrigaline. From this town, I can head back up north, but then it'd be too short a distance. So from here, I'm further going down to the place called Rover's Cove. For a second, I also considered cycling down to Kinsale, but then it will be almost 200 kilometers of cycling, which is definitely a overkill for me. You know, when you're on a long distance cycling, it's always important not to be overconfident of yourself. Here I've arrived at Rover's Cove, which is today's turning point. And it looks like Rover's Cove is a tiny small holiday village with a peaceful atmosphere. And I took a quick selfie and headed back north, back to Cork to take a ferry to Cobh. After coming back up to near Cork, now I'm arriving at Passage West. And here you can take a ferry to cross the river to Cobh. This is my second time taking a ferry in Ireland. I took the first one at Valentia Island in Ling of Kerry. This Cork to Cobh ferry is very handy, especially for cyclists, since you can bypass all the big busy car roads. Also, the charge to cross the river is usually 2 to 3 euros for cyclists, but the guys kindly let me board for free. After you get off the ferry, it's only about 2 to 3 kilometers distance to Cobh from this pier. And the surface was a little bit slippery, so I had to be careful not to slip in my cycling gear. Now here's Cobh, one of my favorite towns in Ireland. This is a place that I've only visited with my car, and it's my first time that I'm coming here on my bike. Obviously, the weather isn't the best, with all the clouds, but it's good enough. And Cobh is a town which is famous for Titanic. Titanic called to the port for the last time in this town and then set off its final voyage towards Atlantic. On the left you can see there is the Titanic experience, where you can take a tour of Titanic's final moment. Up in the front you can see St. Colman's Cathedral. So far, I've been to many cathedrals and churches in Ireland, including the one in Galway, which is Galway Cathedral, and the other one, Cathedral of Christ the King in Mullingar. However, my number one pick has been always this St. Colman's. The cathedral itself is high up on the hill, and the structure is so beautiful. In the aspect of size, Galway Cathedral is much bigger, but St. Colman's has its unique, pristine, and cozy atmosphere. Also, as you see here, cathedral at the hilltop, the view of Cobh town is truly majestic. And now I'm circling around the town again before leaving Cork. And here is the park right beside the Titanic Experience building. Here is also the place where you can just kick back and relax, enjoy the nice breeze, and rest. Up in the front there is a Irish Navy building, so in Cork I couldn't fly my drone because of the security reason. After Cork, I'm now getting back to Blarney via Cork, and with this little bit of detour, I'm not going straight to Cork from Cobh, but I've traveled a little bit north of Cork town, adding some of these coast roads to my today's mileage. And this is one of the big roads that leads right into the Cork city. As you can see, some portion of this road was quite dangerous, with very minimal and marginal cycling road aside. For the next time, it seemed better not to take this road and just take a detour instead. This was almost near the campsite, and the doggy was kind of funny, but I also feel that those kind of behaviors are very dangerous because I saw many times the cars almost hit the dog while the dog is so focused on chasing me. And now I'm finally back at the campsite, the Blarney Caravan and Camping again. And like I said, it was a long day cycling with the distance just around 130 kilometers. And after taking a shower and having a quick protein shake, I'll take my car and drive down to the small town called Tower, the exact spelling Tower Tower, and have something takeaway food there instead of me cooking. Maybe in the future I might try cooking some food in the campsite, but not for the moment. You know, if you want to cook, there's a lot more things you need to prepare in advance. And that's it for today's cycling, and thank you for watching, and see you in my next cycling video.